The Nashville Predators are a professional ice hockey team based in Nashville, Tennessee. They are members of the Central Division of the Western Conference of the National Hockey League, NHL. The Predators joined the NHL as an expansion team in the 1998-99 season, and play their home games at Bridgestone Arena. Franchise history First attempt to bring NHL hockey to Nashville In late 1995, rumors began to circulate that the New Jersey Devils would be relocating to the planned Nashville Arena. Nashville offered a $20 million relocation bonus to any team that would relocate, and the Devils attempted to terminate their lease with New Jersey before finally restructuring it to stay put. 1997-98, NHL expansion and Predators inaugural season After the attempt to get the Devils, NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman noted that Nashville would probably at least be considered in upcoming expansion. The arena was opened in 1996, and after an attempt to bring the National Basketball Association (NBA's) Sacramento Kings did not go through, the city instead went after a hockey team. In January 1997, a group led by Wisconsin businessman Craig Leipold made a formal presentation before the NHL requesting an expansion franchise. When Bettman and league officials visited Nashville to tour the arena, thousands gathered on the arena plaza to greet them. In June, the league granted conditional franchises to Nashville, Columbus, Ohio, Atlanta, and Minneapolis, St. Paul. The Nashville team would be scheduled to begin play in 1998 if they met the NHL requirement of selling 12,000 season tickets before March 31, 1998. Of the four cities, Nashville was the only one with a completed arena, and therefore began play first. A month later, Leipold named former Washington Capitals general manager David Poile as the franchise's first general manager. Portland Pirates head coach Barry Trotz was named the franchise's first head coach on August 6. Mitch Korn was named the first goaltending coach for the franchise. On September 25, 1997, Leipold and team president Jack Diller held a press conference where they unveiled the franchise's new logo, a saber-toothed cat, Smilodon floridanus. The logo was a reference to a partial Smilodon skeleton found beneath downtown Nashville in 1971 during construction of the first American National Bank building, now the UBS Tower. Once the logo was unveiled, the franchise held a vote among fans to choose a name. 3 candidates were culled from 75: Ice Tigers, Fury and Attack. Leipold added his own submission to the vote, Predators. On November 13, Leipold revealed at a press conference that his submission had won out and that the new franchise would be known as the Nashville Predators. At one point, rumors began to circulate that the team would move before the first puck ever hit the ice. One rumor had Leipold trading franchises with the Edmonton Oilers, with the Oilers moving to Nashville and the Nashville expansion franchise moving to Houston, Texas. Leipold shot this rumor down, saying there is no chance. When awarded a franchise, the city of Nashville paid $31.50 of the $80 million fee to join the league. The city has engaged an affiliate of the team to operate the arena, and that agreement protects the city against annual arena operating losses over approximately $3.8 million. The $15 million payroll of the team was the lowest of the NHL. The Predators first took the ice on October 10, 1998, where they lost 1-0 at home to the Florida Panthers. It was the only sold-out game of the Predators' first 5 bouts in Nashville. 3 nights later, on October 13, they defeated the Carolina Hurricanes 3-2 for their first win. Forward Andrew Brunette scored the first goal. Summary of seasons 1998-99 season. The Predators, in their first year of existence, finished second to last in the Western Conference with a 2-8-4-7-7 record. 1999-2000 season. The Predators finished with an almost identical record to the previous season, 2-8-4-0-7-7, and finished last in the West behind the Calgary Flames. During a game versus the New York Islanders on February 20, 2000, the Predators scored 4 goals in 3 minutes and 38 seconds. 2001 season. The Predators opened with 2 games in Japan against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Each team won a game in front of the largest crowds ever to see a hockey game in Japan. Backed by the goaltending duo of Mike Dunham and Tomas Vokoun, Nashville finished the season in 10th place in the West, 10 points out of a playoff spot with a 3-4, 3-6, 9-3 record, for 80 total points. 2001-2 season. A highlight of the season for the Predators was recording their 100th victory as a franchise on December 6, 2001. With that win, Nashville became the second fastest expansion team of the 1990s to reach the 100-win plateau. The team was especially unlucky in overtime, finishing with a 2-8, 4-1, 1-3-0 record, good for 69 points and a 15th spot in the West. 2002-03 season. In 2002-03, then head coach Barry Trotz broke the record for most games coached by the original coach of an expansion team, 392 games. Nashville finished the season with a 2-7, 3-5, 1-3, 7 record for 74 points, putting them well out of contention in the Western Conference in 14th place. 2003-04 season. The Predators finished 8th in the Western Conference and made their first trip to the playoffs. The Detroit Red Wings eliminated them in 6 games in the first round. The 2004-05 season was wiped out by a labor dispute between NHL owners and players. 2005-06 season. In 2005-06, the Predators set an NHL record by winning their first 4 games by 1 goal each, although 2 of those were shootout victories, which would have been tie games in previous seasons. They also became only the 4th NHL franchise to start the season 8-0. The last time a team did so was the Toronto Maple Leafs, who set the mark with a 10-0 start in the 1993-94 season. The Predators set the franchise mark for wins in a season with a 2-0 shutout of the Phoenix Coyotes on March 16, 2006. In that match, Chris Mason became the 9th goaltender to score a goal. By the end of the season, the Predators had accumulated 106 points, their first 100-point season, and clinched home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs for the first time in team history. They finished the season with an NHL best, the 1st of August 32 record at home. In the 2006 playoffs, the Predators faced the San Jose Sharks in the first round. The Sharks beat them in 5 games. 2006-07 season. The Predators acquired veteran center Jason Arnott from free agency on July 2, 2006. Arnott and David Legwand led the team in goals with 27 each. Late in the season, the Predators traded 2 former first-round draft picks, Scotty Upshall and Ryan Parent, plus their first and third-round pick in the 2007 NHL entry draft, to the Philadelphia Flyers for 5-time NHL All-Star Peter Forsberg. The Predators finished the season ranked 4th in the Western Conference with a franchise record 110 points, 5-1, 2-3, 8, despite finishing 3rd overall behind only the Buffalo Sabres, 5-3, 2-2, 7 for 113 points, and the Detroit Red Wings, 5-0, 1-9, 1-3 for 113 points. They were defeated by the San Jose Sharks in the first round of the 2007 playoffs for the second year in a row, losing the series 4-1 for the second straight season. 2007-08 season. After having their roster decimated during the off-season, multiple potential buyers, and rumors of the franchise potentially moving hounding the team until almost mid-season, the Predators were not expected to have a successful year. Chris Mason, former backup goaltender to Tomas Vokoun, who was traded to the Florida Panthers, had a shaky season, and shared net-minding duties with Dan Ellis. Ellis, who was signed from the Dallas Stars before the season began, had a 233-39 long shutout streak, 5th longest in league history, nearing the end of the season that helped Nashville squeak into the 8th playoff spot with 91 points. The Predators met the President's Trophy winning, and eventual Stanley Cup winners, Detroit Red Wings in the first round of the playoffs, and were defeated 4-2, their 4th straight first-round knockout. 2008-09 season. The first off-season of settling in under new ownership was a quiet one for the Predators with little personnel movement. As such, the Predators began the season with little expectation. Following a strong push after the All-Star break and no movement at the trade deadline, the team found themselves still battling for a playoff spot into the last week of the season. Buoyed by the return of Steve Sullivan after almost 2 seasons recovering from a back injury, the Predators finished with 88 points, settling for 10th place in the Western Conference, missing the playoffs for the first time in 5 seasons. 2009-10 season. The Predators made few major additions to their roster in the off-season, signing former San Jose Sharks forward Marcel Giosi, who was extended for another year by the club in mid-season, and former Montreal Canadiens defenseman Francis Bouillon. The season also saw the much-anticipated debut of top prospect Colin Wilson. However, due to a groin injury suffered in training camp, Wilson spent the first week and a half of the season on the sidelines, and was sent to the Milwaukee Admirals of the American Hockey League, in November. He would return to the club in February, scoring 11 points in his next 15 games, and finishing the season with 15 points in 35 games. The 2009-10 season was also a breakout year for the last pick in the 2005 draft, Patrick Hornqvist. After scoring just 2 goals in 28 games the previous year, the 23-year-old Swede scored 30 in 2009-10, becoming the 4th Predator to do so, the others being Steve Sullivan, Paul Kariya and Jason Arnott. Hornquist was often found in front of the net, often drawing comparisons to Detroit Red Wings winger Tomas Holmstrom. The Predators earned their first ever away win in the postseason on April 16 when they beat the Blackhawks 4-1 at the United Center. The two clubs sparred back and forth, splitting both sets of home games to have the series level at 2-2 heading into the nationally televised Game 5. Game 5, however, resulted in a loss. Forward Marian Hossa hit defender Dan Hamhuis from behind with 1:03 left in regulation, and the Predators holding a 4-3 advantage. On the ensuing power play, Chicago would get an odd man rush, allowing Patrick Kane to score and send the game into overtime. In overtime, Hossa scored at the end of his penalty to give the Blackhawks the win. The club lost Game 6 at the Bridgestone Arena by a score of 5-3, and the series by the tally of 4-2. The Predators finished with one of the worst power plays in the postseason, scoring just one goal and going 0-for-21 in the first 5 games. 2010-11 season. General manager David Poile traded captain Jason Arnott to the New Jersey Devils for winger Matt Halashuk and a draft pick, and acquired forward Sergei Kostitsyn from the Montreal Canadiens and former first-round pick Ryan Parent from the Philadelphia Flyers in exchange for impending free agents Dan Hamhuis, Dustin Boyd and Dan Ellis. The club also signed 1999 second-round draft pick Jonas Andersson and Södertälje SK forward Linus Claesson upon the opening of free agency. The club also confirmed the arrivals of Roman Josa, Anders Lindback and Ad Engren from overseas, and signed its first homegrown talent, Hobey Baker Award winner and Brentwood native Blake Geoffrion. On July 2, the Predators announced the signing of veteran forward Matthew Lombardi to a 3-year, $10.5 million contract. On July 9, the Predators announced that defenseman Shea Weber would become the club's 5th captain. On September 19, it was announced that defenseman Ryan Suter and forward Steve Sullivan would serve as the team's alternate captains. The Predators traded forward Michael Santorelli to the Florida Panthers in exchange for a draft pick. The Predators also traded defenseman Ryan Parent and forward Jonas Andersson to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for defenseman Shane O'Brien and a forward prospect. The club also signed young defensemen Aaron Johnson, Brett Palin and Grant Lewis. The Predators also signed forward Jamie Lundmark. On February 11, the Predators acquired 4-time 20-goal scorer and 11-year veteran Mike Fisher from the Ottawa Senators in exchange for a 2011 first-round draft pick and a 2012 conditional pick. On February 25, the Predators traded defenseman Alexander Sulzer to the Florida Panthers for a conditional 7th-round draft pick. They also placed forward Wade Bellick on waivers. On April 24, 2011, the Predators celebrated a team milestone, advancing to the second round of the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. They defeated the Anaheim Ducks in front of another sellout crowd at Bridgestone Arena, winning their first-round series in 6 games. On April 22, 2011, Nashville goaltender Pekka Rinne was nominated as a finalist for the Vezina Trophy. The Predators played against the number 1 ranked team in the NHL in the second round, the Vancouver Canucks. The Predators lost the series 4-2. It was a very successful season for the Predators on and off the ice. The Predators racked up 16 regular season sellouts and an additional 6 sellouts during the playoffs. On August 31, 2011, Predators fan favorite and former Toronto Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, Colorado Avalanche and Calgary Flames player Wade Bellick was found dead in a Toronto condo. Bellick was one of 3 NHL enforcers that died that summer. The Predators wore commemorative decals on their helmets for the 2011-12 season. On September 7, 2011, tragedy struck the hockey world as the Lokomotiv Yaroslavl hockey team died in a horrific plane crash in Russia. 3 members of that team had ties to the Predators. Carlos Skrastins played for the Predators from 1998 to 2003. Joseph Vasicek played for the Predators during the 2006-7 season. Robert Dietrich was a Predators prospect who spent his tenure with the Predators playing for their minor league affiliate, the Milwaukee Admirals. 2011-12 season. On June 22, 2011, the Predators unveiled their modified logo set for the 2011-12 season, with the color scheme simplified to blue, gold and white and eliminating orange, silver and steel. The Predators cleaned up their primary logo and wordmark. A new alternate logo incorporating elements from a guitar pick and the Tennessee state flag was also introduced. On November 3, 2011, the Predators signed goaltender Pekka Rinne to a 7-year, $49 million deal. It was the largest contract awarded in Predators history, as well as making Rinne the highest-paid goaltender in the NHL that year. On February 17, 2012, GM David Poile traded homegrown prospect Blake Geoffrion, Robert Slaney and a 2012 second-round draft pick for defenseman Hal Gill. On February 24, the Predators traded longtime face-off ace Jared Smithson to the Florida Panthers for a draft pick. On February 27, 2012, at the NHL trade deadline, the Predators acquired Andrei Kostitsyn and Paul Gaustad from the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres, respectively. The Predators surrendered draft picks to bolster their team for the 2012 playoffs. On March 19, 2012, Russian forward Alexander Radulov returned to the Predators after a 4-year hiatus to play in the Continental Hockey League, KHL. On April 20, 2012, for the second year in a row and the second time in the team's history, the Predators won a first-round series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The 2-1 victory over the Detroit Red Wings ended the series 4-1. On May 7, 2012, for the second year in a row, the Predators were ousted of the Western Conference semifinals, this time to the Phoenix Coyotes. 2012-13 season. During the lockout-shortened 2012-13 season, Nashville missed the playoffs for the first time since the 2008-9 season. After the season, the Predators signed Weber through a front-loaded $110 million, 14-year offer sheet, $68 million of it as a signing bonus, from the Philadelphia Flyers on July 19. The offer sheet was the richest in NHL history in terms of total money per season and length, surpassing the previous offer sheet record set by Thomas Van Eck. 2013-14 season. After missing the playoffs for a second season in a row, the Predators decided not to renew the contract of Barry Trotz as its head coach after 15 years, although he was offered an unnamed position within the organization. On May 6, 2014, the Predators announced Peter Laviolette as their new head coach. This season also saw the departure of longtime Predator favorite David Legwand when he was traded to the Detroit Red Wings at the trade deadline. 2014-15 season. In Peter Laviolette's first season as coach, the Predators finished second in the Central Division. Despite having home advantage in the first round of the 2015 playoffs, they lost the first round in 6 games to the Chicago Blackhawks, who would go on to win the Stanley Cup. 2015-16 season. The Predators finished as the Western Conference's first wild card, earning 96 points. When they advanced to the second round after beating the Anaheim Ducks in Game 7, it was the franchise's first 7-game series and 7-game series win. They would be eliminated in 7 games by the San Jose Sharks, who would go on to win the conference. On June 29, 2016, the Predators traded their captain, Shea Weber, to the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for defenseman P.K. Subban. The trade surprised many hockey fans because the details to this trade were kept strictly confidential until the deal was already made. On September 7, 2016, the Predators announced that Mike Fisher would be the franchise's 6th captain. 2016-17 season. In the regular season, the Predators finished 4th in the Central Division with 94 points, which would be good enough for the second wild-card spot in the Western Conference. Their 8th-place finish in the conference gave them a first-round Stanley Cup playoff matchup against the Chicago Blackhawks, who finished first in the conference during the regular season. The Predators surprisingly swept the Blackhawks in 4 games. In the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Predators defeated the St. Louis Blues in 6 games, marking the first time the team advanced to the Western Conference Finals. On May 16, the Predators became the first team in 20 years, since Detroit Red Wings in 1997, to achieve 10 straight wins at home in the postseason. On May 22, 2017, the Predators defeated the Anaheim Ducks 6-3, ensuring they won the series 4-2 and winning the Western Conference as a result. It was the franchise's first appearance in the Stanley Cup Finals. Financial troubles. Sale of the Predators and rumored 2007 move to Hamilton. On May 23, 2007, Craig Leipold was reported to have reached a tentative agreement to not sell the team to Research in Motion chairman and co-CEO Jim Balsillie. At the time, Leipold indicated that the team would play the 2007-8 season in Nashville but that the future of the team after that was not clear. Balsillie had long been rumored to be interested in placing another team in Southern Ontario. The deal was expected to be finalized by late June and had to be finished by June 30, 2007. Despite promising to not do so and in violation of instructions from the league, Balsillie began taking steps toward moving the franchise he did not yet own. The proposed relocation site was the Copps Coliseum, located in Hamilton, Ontario, less than 50 miles from the home arenas of both the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres. Relocating to Hamilton would almost certainly have required compensation or residual rights to be granted to the Maple Leafs, as they own territorial rights to the region. The Sabres may also have demanded compensation, although they are out of the 50-mile territorial zone set by the NHL. On June 13, again in violation of league directives and improperly using the Predators logo and trademark, it was announced announced that season ticket deposits for the Hamilton Predators would begin to go on sale through Ticketmaster the next day. A source said Balsilie's objective was to show the league's board of governors that there is a potential for NHL franchise expansion into Canada's large base of ticket buyers in southern Ontario. On June 23, information was leaked by several sources indicating that Leipold no longer wanted to sell the Predators to Basilie. Leipold responded indirectly advising that a deal with Basilie was still possible. Basilie's lawyer, Richard Rodier, was quoted as saying Craig Leipold's letter to the NHL changed little if anything in regards to the pending sale and was a mere formality as part of the sale process. Canadian insiders believed that the information and delay tactics may have been because the league did not want a team to move to Canada, an accusation the NHL denied. Leipold later revealed the true reason: Balsilie had no intent of trying to keep the team in Nashville, had actively interfered with the Predators' relationship with the city of Nashville and only wanted to buy the team if he could guarantee moving it. Thereafter, Balsilie never abided by the terms originally negotiated with Leipold. Subsequently, a campaign to land the team in Kansas City, Missouri, reportedly received a boost in late June 2007. The Canadian National Post, citing anonymous sources, reported that Nashville Predators owner Craig Leipold planned to sell the team to San Jose venture capitalist William Boots Del Biagio III, who wanted to relocate the club to Kansas City's new Sprint Center for the 2008-9 season. Del Biagio, who had a contract with Anschutz Entertainment Group to own an NHL club that would play home games in Sprint Center, had made an offer reported to be for about $190 million for the Predators. Del Biagio had entered an agreement 2 years earlier, in 2005, to purchase the Pittsburgh Penguins, but the club backed out of the deal after it won the NHL draft lottery and took Sidney Crosby with the first overall pick. Balsilie's taking season ticket deposits in Hamilton while the Predators still had a lease to play in Nashville upset NHL owners and Commissioner Gary Bettman and reportedly caused Leipold to have second thoughts about selling to Balsilie. Although Del Biagio had started a ticket drive selling corporate suites in Kansas City, it did not include season tickets like Balsilie's move. Later that day, Leipold denied rumors that he was dealing exclusively with Del Biagio, stating that he was open to all bids and that a deal with Basilie was still possible. Leipold was said to have been incensed that Balsilie was reneging on his promise to not move the Predators and failing to make the required deposit in connection with the offer. The Globe and Mail reported on July 4, 2007, that a group of 30 investors became the third party to make a bid to purchase the franchise and keep the team in Nashville. On July 19, 2007, a group of local business owners known as Our Team Nashville held a rally at the Summit Center to encourage fans to buy season tickets in order to help the Predators meet the attendance figures needed to keep the team in Nashville. They drew approximately 7,500 fans and sold the equivalent of 726 full-season tickets during the rally. The rally was heavily supported by George Plaster, then a sportscaster on WGFX 104.5 The Zone Sports Radio in Nashville. On August 1, 2007, the group who had intentions to keep the team in Nashville released a letter of intent from Craig Leipold. After negotiations with the city of Nashville, the local group headed by David Freeman reached an agreement with Nashville Mayor Carl Dean, and the NHL Board of Governors approved the sale on November 29, 2007. The $172 million acquisition of the Nashville Predators included repayment of existing debt of approximately $61 million and $2.2 million in fees and expenses. The sale of the Predators to the Tennessee-based group included Del Biagio, who had been trying to move the team to Kansas City. The locally based buyers held 73 of the team while Del Biagio and a minority partner acquired about 27 of the club. Del Biagio fraud and its aftermath. In June 2008, Del Biagio ran into legal trouble over a multitude of unpaid loans, culminating in his filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Furthermore, it was alleged that Del Biagio acquired the loans he used to buy his stake in the team through fraudulent means, prompting an FBI investigation and criminal charges. The charges culminated in a 97-month prison sentence for Del Biagio. Under United States bankruptcy law, a trustee was appointed to sell Del Biagio's assets, including his stake in the Predators, to pay off his creditors. One report indicated that, perhaps as a last-ditch attempt to avoid bankruptcy, Del Biagio solicited an offer from Balsilie to buy his stake in the team at a significant premium. That deal was said to have collapsed after the NHL or the local group either blocked it outright or at least insisted on the annulment of all concessions given to Del Biagio prior to any transfer of the stake to Balsilie. Major North American sports leagues are expected to exercise due diligence before allowing anyone to acquire a large stake in a franchise, so Del Biagio's bankruptcy was considered to be a serious public relations organization's embarrassment for the league. After swindler John Spano had briefly gained control of the New York Islanders in 1997, due to insufficient evaluation, the NHL had been vetting prospective owners with Ernst & Young in a New York City accounting firm. Furthermore, the commencement of bankruptcy proceedings arguably could affect the rights of the league and the other Predators owners to block the sale of Del Biagio's stake to the highest bidder. Predators owners disagreed completely with this theory. On February 24, 2009, Calgary businessman W. Brett Wilson had entered discussions with Predators majority owner David Freeman with intentions to invest in their third sports franchise together. Wilson confirmed that progress has been made in his plans to invest in the team, with a handshake agreement, but that there was nothing in writing. The long-disputed 27 share that belonged to minority shareholder William J. Boots Del Biagio III was expected to be purchased by Wilson, with his eventual share in the Predators to be nominal. The Predators announced that the team turned a profit for both the 2008-9 and 2009-10 seasons despite the global economic downturn, and attendance exceeded an average of 14,000 paid tickets per game in both years. In November 2011, it was announced that W. Brett Wilson had purchased a 5% interest in the Nashville Predators. The 2016-17 season marked the first time the Predators sold out all 41 regular season home dates. Ownership dispute. On June 23, 2016, Freeman filed a $250 million lawsuit against the Nashville Predators and chairman Thomas Sigarin. His claim was that his ownership stake has been improperly diluted by Sigarin failing to notify him of capital calls, and that he had not received loan guarantee fees that the ownership group had agreed to pay him. The lawsuit stated that Freeman initially owned a 48% share, while the holding company for the Nashville Predators stated that Freeman controlled less than 1% of ownership in the team at the time of the suit. This dilution was exacerbated by the existence of two classes of investments in the Predators. The common units owned by Freeman are subject to capital calls, while Series A units are not subject to capital calls. Thus, the value of an initial investment in common units can be diluted by capital calls, while the value of Series A units are preserved. The dispute was sent to court-ordered arbitration on July 29, 2016. The arbitration is under the supervision of NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Team information. The team practices at Centennial Sportsplex. For the 2007-8 season, the Predators updated their jerseys with new striping. The logo was left unchanged, and the colors were left unchanged. Nashville was added to the away jerseys above the logo. For the 2011-12 season, the Nashville Predators changed their jersey design and color scheme. The home jerseys are a bright gold with navy and white highlights, while the away jerseys are white with gold and navy highlights. Furthermore, the Predators changed their logo, making it purely white, gold and navy. The new jerseys have a guitar pick on the shoulder with the Tennessee State Tri-Star inside it, lines meant to be guitar lines on the numbers, and piano keys along the neckline inside the jersey as a nod to Nashville's internationally known music heritage. There is no new third jersey at this time, but one has been hinted at for the near future. They did, however, unveil gold helmets to be used on Saturday home games for the 2015-16 season. From the 2016-17 season, the gold helmets became a permanent part of the home uniform. Fan traditions. Fans of the Nashville Predators have modified the octopus throwing tradition of Detroit Red Wings fans to show their support. On occasion, a fan will throw a catfish onto the ice. The Tennessean newspaper of Nashville cites the first instance of this as being on October 30, 2003. At least 4 catfish were thrown onto the ice after the first Nashville goal on November 13, 2003, at the Stanley Cup Playoffs Western Conference (NHL) Final Game 3 at Bridgestone Arena on May 16, 2017. Country star Keith Urban, who had performed the national anthem at the game, could be viewed on the Jumbotron hoisting a massive fish. Section 303 is where a section of fans at the Bridgestone Arena sit, stand, and cheer, colloquially known as the cell block. The group refers to themselves as the loudest section of the loudest arena in the NHL. The fan-based organization has been recognized by the Predators front office. A large banner was produced by the front office for posting on the wall behind the section. On April 3, 2008, with the Predators clinging to a 3-2 lead with 4:30 in their final home game of the regular season, a sellout crowd at the then Summit Center gave the team a standing ovation through the entirety of the final TV timeout. The Predators went on to win the game against the St. Louis Blues and advanced to the playoffs that year, where the standing O during the final TV timeout has since become a fan tradition. The mascot of the Predators is Nash, a blue saber-toothed cat. Introduced in 1998, Nash's trademark includes stunts, such as very fast rappels, zip lines, and a pendulum swing that takes him under the scoreboard and just inches off the ice. To go along with the saber-toothed cat mascot, Predators fans proudly use their fang fingers during each power play of the game. There are foam saber fang gloves that can be purchased, but most fans simply curl their index and middle fingers on each hand into fang shapes and brandish them in an up and down motion. Fang fingers are done to the horror sounds from the Alfred Hitchcock movie, Psycho. Fans are also known for a variety of chants taunting players of the opposing team, particularly the goalie. For example, after each Predators goal, fans call the opposing goalie's name, accompanied by shouts of "It's all your fault" and other epithets. These cheers are sometimes said to originate from tradition at college football games, but some of these derive from traditions held by fans of pre-NHL hockey clubs Nashville Dixie Flyers, Nashville South Stars, Nashville Nighthawks, and Nashville Knights. Nashville's fan base is said by many to be among the loudest in the National Hockey League, with sound levels reaching over 120 decibels during the playoffs. Season by season record . This is a partial list of the last 5 seasons completed by the Predators. For the full season by season history, see list of Nashville Predators seasons. GP = games played, W = wins, L = losses, T = ties, OTL = overtime losses, PTS = points, GF = goals for, GA = goals against, players current roster updated May 20, 2017 team captains Tom Fitzgerald 1998 to 2002, Greg Johnson 2002 to 2006, Kimmo Timonen 2006-2007, Jason Arnott 2007 to 2010, Shea Weber 2010 to 2016, Mike Fisher 2016 present first round draft picks franchise scoring leaders These are the top 10 point scorers, goal scorers, and assist leaders in franchise regular season history. Figures are updated after each completed NHL regular season. * Current Predators player. Note: POs = position, GP = games played, G = goals, A = assists, PTS = points, G = points per game, NHL awards and trophies Lester Patrick Trophy, David Poile, 2001, Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy, Steve Sullivan, 2008-9, NHL Foundation Player Award, Mike Fisher, 2011-12, Mark Messier Leadership Award, Shea Weber, 2015-16, NHL First All-Star Team, Shea Weber, 2010-11, 2011-12, NHL Second All-Star Team, Pekka Rinne, 2010-11, Shea Weber, 2013-14, 2014-15, NHL All-Rookie Team, Philip Forsberg, 2014-15, NHL All-Star Game Selections, Sergei Krivokrasov, 1998-99, Kimmo Timonen, 1999-2000, 2003-4, 2006-7, Tomas Vokoun, 2003-4, Jason Arnott, 2007-8, Shea Weber, 2008-9, 2010-11, 2011-12, 2014-15, 2015-16, Ryan Suter, 2011-12, Pekka Rinne, 2014-15, 2015-16, Philip Forsberg, 2014-15, Roman Josa, 2015-16, James Neal, 2015-16, P.K. Subban, 2016-17 franchise individual records Most games played, David Legwand, 956, most games played, goaltender, Pekka Rinne, 508, most goals in a season, Jason Arnott, Philip Forsberg, 33, 2008-9, 2015-16, most assists in a season, Paul Kariya, 54, 2005-6, most points in a season, Paul Kariya, 85, 2005-6, most penalty minutes in a season, Patrick Cote, 242, 1998-99, most goals in a season, defenseman, Shea Weber, 23, 2008-9 and 2013-14, most points in a season, defenseman, Roman Josa, 61, 2015-16, most goals in a season, rookie, Philip Forsberg, 26, 2014-15, most points in a season, rookie, Philip Forsberg, 63, 2014-15, most wins in a season, Pekka Rinne, 43, 2011-12, most shutouts in a season, Pekka Rinne, 7, 2008-9 and 2009-10, References External links Official website